We have John Schmoll, who's the first assistant at Burning Tree. We got Peyton Durham, who is an assistant at Westchester Country Club. We have Tyler Lauer, who is a teaching professional for the Bridge Golf Foundation. And then we have Stephanie Molloy, who's working at the Golf Performance Center. What we're doing here today is this is an opportunity to have kind of a forum and a discussion for everyone about junior golf, the direction that it's going, some innovations that are occurring, new things that are happening because of COVID, and just kind of what we can do with our junior golf programs moving forward. We're very excited to have you here. What we're going to do is I'm going to kind of highlight everyone and give them an opportunity to present about what it is they're doing with their junior golf programs, where they are, and give them an opportunity to speak. And then we're going to kind of have a question and answer and do our best to kind of cover everything we can here. Everyone in this panel is very excited to be here. They have a lot to offer, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there watching right now that are well deserving of the opportunity to talk on this panel. But we've put together what we believe to be a very diverse and good group here. So we're going to start with James Hong. He's the director of instruction at the Harbor Links Club, and he's a really accomplished junior golf instructor. His accolades are there's too many of them to list here. His wealth of knowledge in this area is quite incredible, to be honest with you. So James, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for asking me. It's a pleasure.
And we're super excited to have you here, and I'm going to give you the floor right now and just kind of tell us about your program, tell us what you're doing, and just kind of tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the programs that we've been running, I know last year was a difficult time for everyone. We actually didn't get to the golf course to teach until June 23rd. So I remember them walking in on March 13th, the general manager, and saying, yeah, today's the last day you can teach. And so, we lost all of that time. And luckily we were, at least a couple of us were able to do stuff virtually. But once we got back there, yeah, I mean, we basically were overrun from day one. I mean, I'm sure everyone kind of experienced that. A lot of people coming, like our junior programs exploded. So we had programs for 6-year-olds on up to 17-year-olds. We also have a program that we normally run for 4 to 6-year-olds. It's called the Futures Club. But because of all of the social distancing issues that we were going through, and at that time, all of that was still new. We were still trying to figure out what we could do, what we couldn't do and stuff, and figuring out what the guidelines were. So we didn't have a program for those little kids this year, just because we weren't, I mean, we felt like there was going to be more hands-on stuff necessary. So we didn't have that, but we had from 6-year-olds on up. And like I said, spring programs were canceled. But once we opened up the summer programs, they were just overrun. We actually have a program in the morning, in the afternoon. And normally we'll just get a few kids in the afternoon. Our morning ones are the ones that fill up. This past summer, everything blew up. We were as filled in the afternoon as we were in the mornings. We also have like our intermediate program, our advanced program, and that just carried through into September. Everything was just overrun. And so we were happy and we were very careful with our COVID guidelines, our social distancing guidelines. And I think what was really good about it is I got a ton of messages from parents saying that they really appreciated the fact that we not only provided an outlet for their children to do something, to finally have some fun outside of their house, but that we made everyone feel safe at the same time. The parents felt secure and safe that they were dropping their kids off at a place that there weren't going to be any issues, and that the kids were enjoying themselves. A lot of them, they just didn't want to go home when it was time. So, and already for this year, just getting a bunch of messages coming in. When can we sign up? So hopefully that, we'll just keep the ball rolling this year.
Yeah, I think that in talking with a lot of people, everyone kind of went through the same thing this year, where once the restrictions kind of loosened up a little bit, the junior golf programs absolutely exploded. So let me kind of ask you this. I know that we still are dealing with COVID and stuff like that. What kind of questions have you received from parents about your protocols and making kind of the parents comfortable with what kind of programs you're running? And then on top of that, carrying the momentum from last year, do you feel like you're going to have a problem filling up your junior golf programs this year, or what kind of things are you doing to maintain the steam that was last summer?
Right. What the parents are asking is like, what are our social distancing guidelines? So of course, we're following all the basic rules, 6 feet apart. Our groups are smaller, so we're maxing out at about 5 or 6 kids per instructor. When we're transporting them around, we have the big people movers, and we've set up dividers in the people mover, plexiglass dividers, plastic dividers, so that each child is sitting, they have their own seat, and there's a separation between them and the other kids. We're also asking them, all of the instructors are wearing our masks, etc. So we're giving them guidelines. It's all on a PDF file. So whenever I get a parent asking me, I send it right away to them. And if they have any questions, they can contact me. And so that should be good for now. And it's always updating. I'm always letting the parents know, hey, we just realized we might be wanting to do this instead. And they're very appreciative of it. I think in terms of what I'm doing, all of those kids that signed up, I'm sending them kind of videos, quick tips. Hey, when you're sitting at home in the winter, remember you could do this, practice this. Remember how you learned this in the camp in the summertime. Don't forget, pretty soon you're going to be back outside. Love to see you again. And work on this, remember, and doing stuff like with a tennis racket or a hockey stick or a baseball bat, stuff like that, or even a fry pan, and just keeping them involved, making them know that we're staying connected with them and that we haven't forgotten them. And so again, a lot of messages. Thanks for the video. Little Jimmy's really can't wait. He's excited to come back out there. And like I said, I'm getting already a lot of messages about when can they register for the spring and the summer. So I don't think we're going to have a problem filling it up unless something unforeseen happens.
That's great, James. And then, last thing, and obviously we're going to come back full circle and come back, but some of the questions that I'm getting from the participants here today watching, what, in your suggestion, at what age do you usually see kids starting to take some private lessons and getting into the camps, and like kind of what's your feel on that?
Yeah, I mean, the youngest kids that are taking private lessons are 4 years old. But what I try to get across to the parents, remember, we're not just educating kids, we're educating the parents. So what I'm trying to get them to understand is that maybe their attention span for 30 minutes or 1 hour, we'll see what it's like. And of course, it's not like just hold a club and hit balls. It's trying to make them have fun and playing some games with them. But also what I'd like them to do is be a part of the classes, so they could see other kids and kind of bond with the other kids and not just feel like it's only them. Because sometimes the kids, they may feel a little lonely, like there's no one else around. So I want them to see other kids their age. And I'd say like 99% of the time, the kids really like that there are other kids. Oh, wow, I can't believe, there are others here. And so I try to encourage the parents to put them into the classes first. But if they really want to have a private lesson, then I'd say 4 years old. I've even had a couple of kids where the parents are asking, they're 3 years old, can they get a private lesson? And I'll have them come in and just I just spend 15 minutes with them and see, hey, you having fun? You enjoying it? And then letting the parents know afterwards, maybe sign them up for the class instead, or, oh yeah, they're fine for a private lesson.
That's awesome. That's really great. I think that we all kind of have that happen to us at our respected jobs. Everyone watching, like, you get the parent like, hey, how early is too early before little Jimmy starts taking lessons. So it's nice to hear how you kind of handle that. And James, thank you for kind of introducing yourself here. We're definitely going to come back to you. I just want to kind of give everyone a chance to chime in, so everyone, meets everyone. Next up, we're going to have Stephanie Molloy. Stephanie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So recently you joined up with the Golf Performance Center, and this is more of the, and maybe I'm making an assumption, maybe you'll tell me I'm wrong, the elite junior program. So we're excited to have you here. I would love for you to kind of tell us about what you're doing, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So my topic today is PDI assessments. It's something that we do at the Performance Center, what they are and why you guys should be doing them as well. So I actually have a PowerPoint created because some of the information is a little visual. So I think it's really important and I wanted to share that. So one second here. Okay, can you guys see that? Got it? You guys there?
I don't, doesn't mean not everyone else does. Oh, sorry.
We can see it, Stephanie.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. Okay, so I'm actually just going to jump right in here. So what is a PDI? A PDI for us is a player development index. So how do you know exactly if your junior golfers are progressing? For us at GPC, it's simple, we measure. And I'm going to pose a question to all of you guys. Like, we all know as professionals that there's more to junior golf development and just development in general, other than just score. So we've developed a system that takes all of these factors into account. Number one being a physical assessment. At the core of everything, we believe function dictates form. So how well you're moving your body will dictate how the club moves, essentially will control the golf ball. And that's what we're all here striving to do. So golf skills, can you hit a 10-yard draw? How about a fade? How many putts can you make from 3 to 10 feet? Short game testing, and so on. Then comes golf performance. Here we do look at a player's tournament scoring average from scores that they've uploaded to the Junior Golf Hub. So my next slide and a few more in, I'll go further in depth of the Junior Golf Hub and what that is and how you guys can use that for your programming as well. Last but not least is the mental profile. So humans are messy. We've worked with Angela Duckworth on developing a great interview, and our psychologist on staff is helping to develop this aspect even further. So we assess everything from the standpoint of our 5 elements of success. Number 1 being desire, physical performance and nutrition, golf coaching, mental game, and equipment. So as you can see from our standpoint, we approach everything from a holistic standpoint. Yes, to your point, Mike, we might cater to the elite junior golfer, but we also do have a ton of programs for people just learning to play the game as well.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely kind of on what I would consider, I mean, the cutting edge of junior golf in terms of, you know, what are your goals for your kids up there in the program right now? Like, most of them, what is their goal? I'd say most of them have goals of playing golf to college and maybe beyond. So is that something that you guys are kind of getting them ready for?
That's exactly it. And actually you led me into kind of the next topic, which being the Junior Golf Hub. So the Junior Golf Hub was created to support our PDS or PDI system. And I'm not sure about you guys, but when I was coming up and looking to be recruited to play Division I, I didn't really know where to start. So golf isn't really like other sports where coaches come to your games and scout you. My family, we also didn't really have the resources to fly to these AJGA events to get recognized by college coaches. So the Junior Golf Hub is actually something that changes that. It's a platform that connects aspiring junior players, like you just said, Mike, to coaches where they have control over their profile. Here they can upload swing videos, goals, their PDI assessments, what they are working on, and actually show them what these colleges are shooting and see where they match up. So just to go to this slide too, our hub right now has a little over 12,000 users, 960 college coaches on the hub, which is actually only 60% coverage throughout the community. We have access to over 60,000 junior golfers through the 35 PGA sections and golf associations. So hopefully we can get that number up. Our goal at the Performance Center and through the Junior Golf Hub is to change how player development is actually understood. So in a way, it's shifting the paradigm and getting away from just having score being the only factor that you look at and golf skill, and actually looking holistically at the player. Function dictates form, and their physical assessment, and then performance, and then last but not least, the mental game as well. Because again, humans are messy. So we provide a trusted educational platform for you guys. So I do want to stress that. Our goal is the same as the PGA, grow the game. Right now, our focus is on junior players, but hopefully we can extend this to ages 8 to 80 and the entire golfing community. Our customer segments are you guys. I think you guys should check out this platform, PGA Professionals, to look at your instructional program and see if you can use some of these things that we've already put in place.
So that's great, because I was literally just going to ask you. I've been to your facility. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, obviously you guys are doing great things. You came from a private club before here. Knowing what you know now up there and knowing what you experienced at Weburn, what do you think the best way to like take some of the stuff you're doing now and integrate that into a different facility where we can't fully focus on junior golf because the member guest is this weekend also? So like, you tell me, what do you think the best things and how we can integrate these things to kind of help our kids that are not at your performance center, but we have, you know, an aspiring college player at one of our clubs who can benefit from some of these theories and models?
Perfect, Mike, you're leading me in. It's great. So we actually have 3 assessments, and what I can recommend to you guys at the clubs, and I came from, again, a green grass facility too, is you need to have a baseline. You need to have something to start with and where your player actually is, and then create the pathway from there to where they can go. So a phrase that we like to use at GPC is we're not guessing, we're measuring. So our data actually shows a direct correlation from what their PDI score is to actually lower scoring averages. So let me kind of get in further in depth into the PDI, and please, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. So I would start probably with having your juniors or you guys as coaches download the Junior Golf Hub app. It takes 10 to 12 minutes to actually go through a self-assessment and see where you guys have that baseline. We, again, analyze everything through our 5 elements of success down there. We have the PDI coach guided assessment. This takes 45 minutes. It's administered by a certified PDI coach, 39 different golf shots, 4 physical activities, and then again, that grit test and the mental aspect of everything that we do. The full PDI at GPC, we actually have 4 a year. And this is something where I want to invite you guys up, your juniors up, to take the PDI test. Again, I'm going to stress the baseline to be able to, where are they right now and where can they go? Hopefully you guys can become PDI certified or your facilities one day, because we truly believe that this is the next level of development for junior golfers to at least get to college or beyond in that elite level.
Yeah, that's some really great stuff, Stephanie. I mean, you guys are super in depth, and you, like, this is what we're talking about, you know, this panel kind of figuring out where junior golf is going, and all of us kind of taking a leap to that next step to better our kids and give them the best opportunity to take their games forward if that's what they want to do, or just be a better player for fun, either or. But that's amazing stuff. Is there anything else you'd really like to touch on before we kind of come back to you?
I just have 2 more slides if you guys just want to see the inside look of the PDI. I'll talk less. I kind of just wanted to let you guys know exactly what we do. But here's kind of just the view from the app. Again, going into the golf skills and what that looks like, the physical performance, the grit interview on there, which I think is a huge component. On the right-hand side are a few of our members and what their PDI score actually is. Again, we're seeing a direct correlation with the higher the PDI score, the lower your scoring average. And then here, another view just from the app, what one of our players on the left, their GPA, their scoring average, weight, height, all of that stuff. In the middle there, you see that she has highlighted the schools that she's actually following and striving to go to. All of the scoring information's on there, tuition, obviously her PDI index. And then on the right-hand side, I think it's important for you guys to see. So this is actually like the coach side of it. So this is what we do when it comes to the PDI assessments that we do, those 4 a year. We call them our 4 majors. Just the shot making, chipping, pitching, full swing, and performance. And we're trying to actually, again, standardize the PDI testing so it can hopefully become the gold standard when it comes to just junior golf development, trying to reach that elite level. I want to invite you guys to our facility to bring your juniors up, because I want to stress that we are a research facility. Yes, we have an academy, but we have all of this information and technology at our disposal. So I think it'd be really beneficial to use some of the stuff that we have created.
That's great. And so I was reading some of the questions popping up, and a popular one right now is in the App Store to look at the PDI assessment. What were they, what do they search for?
Junior Golf Hub.
Junior Golf Hub. Okay, awesome. That's great. That's great. Stephanie, that's an incredible presentation there, and you guys are obviously on the leading edge of kind of research and junior golf development, and I look at it as an elite thing, but obviously these things would help someone just trying to improve at a not elite level also. But we're definitely going to come back to you. That's really great. I want to highlight some of the other people that are here. Tyler Lauer is who I'm going to highlight next. He is an instructor at the Bridge Golf Foundation in New York City. And this is kind of a nice switch up because Tyler, I would argue that some of the players you're dealing with are not the elite level junior golfer right now. Not saying they won't be, but please, what you're doing is pretty amazing stuff, and we'd love to hear about what you got going on.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for being here. I hope you did some stretching yesterday before you shoveled, because we know that golfers like to hurt themselves in the off season, so we definitely don't want that to happen. So just to speak a little bit about what we do in New York City, our sample of golfers is a little different than most. Our main component that we do is we deal with 9th through 12th grade young men, underserved youth in the New York City area, and we bring golf to them. Now during the pandemic, everybody had their struggles. What we did, we were able to run a 6-week program by utilizing the golf courses in and around New York City, Mashalou, Dunwoody, Pelham Bay, Split Rock, courses like that. So what we do is we get in most cases, and maybe in some cases not, a very athletic human being, right? 9th through 12th grade. He's played basketball, he's played baseball, and we introduce him to golf. And it's really a cool program on many levels. But one of the things that I think we really strive at is we just show them all the different things that golf can bring you. Obviously, there's life lessons to be had, but really it's more than that. So one of the things that I think we do a great job at is, not necessarily that we have to sell it, but we're getting a 9th through 12th grade person, right? So they're a grown person, a young man, right? So we really have to make it fun and make sure that they're into it. And we have to we're constantly coaching and teaching. And I think that's one thing that we really, really do a great job at is we make it as fun as possible. We strive on golfing and doing, and there's obviously, a broader picture. So we don't get, the golfer that comes to us that already has played in a tournament. In some cases, a young man might go through our whole program and never play in a golf tournament. But again, all the things that he's learned through our program will obviously help him. Again, I think what I stress when I'm teaching and coaching at the Bridge Golf Foundation, and I think what every PGA professional needs to stress when you're teaching juniors, is you have to be yourself. Okay. If your action comes off disingenuous, that kid is going to know. And I think we've all had our shortcomings, whether we're teaching juniors or adults, but one thing that if you're yourself and you make it fun, I don't care whether the kid is 4 years old or, 30, 12, 15, whatever he is, I think you have to be yourself. And I think that's one thing that I stress to every young professional. I've been doing this for a couple of years, so I definitely learned along the way and have found that the best way is just to be yourself. Because if you're yourself throughout the whole teaching process with this young man, he's going to remember you for some other reason. I've seen kids that I've taught 10 years ago, and they kind of look at me and they're like, "Oh man, Coach Tyler, wow," and they'll tell me a funny story or something like that. Another thing we do at the Bridge Golf Foundation is that we're indoors. So on top of the foundation, I also have a private practice. And I teach a lot of younger kids in New York City these days because of the programs at their schools have been eliminated. So teaching indoors with a younger student does have its challenges. When I was at, private country club at Whippoorwill or at Fairview, I mean, a cart ride to the third green could take up, 30% of the lesson. A hunt for some turtles and frogs, could hook the kid. But I think here when we're indoors, we do a lot of putting. We use snag golf. Again, TrackMan is getting better with some games and things like that. But I think one thing that I do, especially with a younger golfer, is right before I'm done with the lesson, is I always recap. I always recap what we worked on. Because 9 times out of 10, when they get in the car or they're walking home to their apartment, or in some cases at a country club and they go to the pool, they're probably going to get the same questions like we ask them, like James was saying, right? Hey, how was school today? What did you learn today? And it's that type of interaction that I want your personality to come out when you're teaching. So I just think that, if you're asking those questions, hey, go over what you learned today, whether it be the parts of the club, what out of bounds means. And then 9 times out of 10, when mom and dad ask, they're going to regurgitate that. They're going to say that. And it's so important because it lets the parents know that, that you're actually doing something and you're not just, you're not just being a junior golf clown out there and trying to make everyone, have a good time. Again, there's only one other thing that I want to touch on. I think community is a huge component, obviously, of what we do at Bridge Golf Harlem, but it's something that I think every golf professional could utilize when it comes to junior golf. Obviously, there are some systemic inequalities in our world, and golf is like this awesome equalizer, right? How many clubs have you worked at where all you've had to say is, hey, we're raising money for junior golf? The member reaches and you see sawbucks, right? So I guess what I'm saying here is that feel free to go to your facility, open up your facility, whether it be to the high school, whether it be to the Boys and Girls Club. I'm not saying you got to do it every week. Heck, you might do it just one day a year. Call a church, call a different association that may or may not be, golf related, and open up your facility for a couple hours. And I guarantee you that exposure to that component of golfer or that person in society will change how you teach the game. And obviously you're going to have tons of traction at your club because of it. Now, we all know that junior golf, we love to hear, I've heard great stories. I know Nick Maselli and John Dipolato at Old Oaks, they do this awesome junior member guest. And it's really cool, right? To see just like their dads, right? Well, I always thought, why don't you bring a non-golfer, bring a guy from your hockey team, and you know what I mean? Like, just bring another person that maybe doesn't have the opportunity that you have to be a member at a club, or that member has a membership at a club. I just think, community is a huge thing that every club can do to make golf. I mean, it's low-hanging fruit, and golf is a great vehicle to do that. And junior golf is even easier. So that's just one thing that I've learned, obviously working at Bridge Golf Harlem. But I think mainly, and I think everyone on the panel will agree, you have to make it fun at any level, whether you're teaching a 4-year-old or whether you're teaching a 14-year-old. And I think we do a great job of that. And I think you have to be yourself. You have to have some personality. Okay. I was doing cooking videos, during the pandemic, just to obviously to give some content and to just, keep the whole message going through our foundation. And I don't think I couldn't have been up there just kind of blah, blah, blah on it. There's got to be passion. And I think that's it. I think you got to be yourself, be comfortable in your own skin, because kids, they'll sniff that out. And then, you might not get them, and we want to hook them because they're the future. Thanks, Mike.
That's great. And Tyler, I actually have a pretty specific question for you that's come up in the questions here. And the question is, how many of us reach out to a corporation or a nonprofit or even government agency for some financial support? Now, that question I feel like is pretty specific to what you have going on. And I know that there's probably a really in-depth answer to that, but I really love how you went on about community and stuff like that. So maybe you can just kind of shed some light on some sort of answer to that question that was posed in the questions here.
I mean, I think even at a section level, I think sponsorship is, and reaching out to, to a corporation and things like that. I mean, those are all, like I said, those are really, really great things. And junior golf is such a great thing to tie that into. But again, I think it all depends. I think it's very subjective from membership to membership and from club to club. So, I mean, I think, I do think, yes, there's a lot of people out there that want to help and maybe they don't know how. And, Carl Alexander and a lot of the other, guys that I've worked for, you want to become the aficionado, right? Like you're the business of golf. So if your member feels that he can come to you and ask you any question about golf, you should be his guy. And I feel like I've worked for a number of professionals that I've seen that happen, that maybe they're not coming about, hey, what's my left wrist doing at impact? It could be something like, hey, I want to bring a group out for my business. You know what I mean? So I just think if you know golf and if you present yourself to your membership and to your boss for that matter, this is an assistants, an assistants association, panel here. Go to your boss, be confident in your wants and obviously in your plans. Obviously we come in with a lot of piss and vinegar at the start of the year. And then, by, the middle of July, we all can't wait for snow. And I think consistency is another thing that I think we stress. Set your goals at the beginning of the year and try to stick to them. I've fallen short many a season, I'm sure, where I've wanted to do some things and that I haven't. But I would think, yes, feel free to. Are there corporations out there that want to get involved? Yes. Just make sure that you have the blessing of your facility and of your superiors, before you come in and say, hey, I got JP Morgan to sponsor this junior golf event. And you kind of have to be guided there. That missile has to be guided. It can't just be,
It's a great answer, Todd. I think you're right. I think that it's a unique question because we have the corporate thing going for junior tournaments and stuff like that, but I haven't really seen like a corporately sponsored junior clinic at the club. But I think you're right. I think that's something, like you said, is a great way of putting it. That missile's got to be guided, and if you do figure out a way to kind of handle that, you do kind of become the golf aficionado, and the members start to come to you for all sorts of golf related questions. And this is how we further our careers using something in junior golf. Now, all of a sudden we have the members asking us about the invitational because we handled that situation so well. So I think you're absolutely right, Tyler. And I appreciate your time, and we'll definitely be coming back to you. We're just going to kind of get the last two panelists up here. I'm going to go to Peyton Durham. Peyton is an assistant golfer at Westchester Country Club. I work with Peyton. She runs the junior golf program at Westchester, has over 300 junior golfers in it. It's pretty insane. Peyton, welcome to the panel. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'd love to give you an opportunity to kind of talk. We do some pretty unique things at Westchester. I had never heard of some of the stuff we did until this year. So please, the floor is yours to, talk to us.
All right. So what I wanted to talk to everyone about today is our largest and most successful junior golf program at Westchester. Like Mike said, it's kind of like a factory at Westchester. So we have to be very organized when it comes to everything when we do junior golf, especially this summer with COVID protocols. So I just want to kind of go through what our Harry Cooper Academy is and then kind of explain how we ran it this summer to deal with COVID. So our Harry Cooper Academy is a 9 to 10 week program. It starts in the middle of June and then ends in August at the very end. It runs from Tuesdays to Fridays. And normally on a normal year, we would only do 2 time slots, either 10 to 12 or 1 to 3. But due to COVID and needing to do smaller group sizes, we decided to expand the program. So we added an 8 to 10 slot and a 3 to 5. So we basically made our max of students be either 32 to 40, kind of depending on the demand. And we're doing a 1 to 4 teacher student ratio. And we think that was definitely the most important thing from this summer is it was more intimate. The kids learned a lot more. And normally for us, it's like 8 to 10 kids per teacher. And it just definitely was more beneficial this year doing the smaller group sizes. And I do think in the future, no matter if we're dealing with COVID or not, we will stick to doing that. So basically in one session, we possibly need 8 to 10 teachers and we charge $360 per week and we don't allow prorating, which I think was very crucial this summer because I would have moms like email me the Sunday before saying, oh, Lucy can't make it on Wednesday. Is there any way we can get a refund for that day? And I say, well, unfortunately, just due to like the high demand and kids being on wait lists, like we couldn't do that. So then it ended up Lucy would come on Wednesday. So it ended up making kids really stay and we had better retention because they had to be there during the week. We weren't doing any kind of prorating. And so in order to like for us, our staff to be organized with all of our junior golf, it's not really possible for all of our teachers to get together during the week because we have so many teachers at one time. I mean, 10 people is a lot considering how busy we are. So we utilize Operation 36 in their online platform to basically create our lesson plans and make sure everything's organized. So every week I'll create lesson plans that say what we're all doing during the week, what games we're playing, what fundamentals we're working on. And also it's really cool because it's basically a YouTube of games. So you go on and there's literally probably like 50 or 60 videos that you can choose from. So it makes our lives a lot easier because if Mike has to go set up, he just watches the videos, he reads lesson plans, he's like, all right, I'm good to go. I can set up. We don't need to do meetings and kind of waste 30 or 40 minutes talking about the week. And so how our week will go is there's 4 lesson plans, 1 for each day. So 2 short game, 1 on the range, and then one day we go on the par 3. And we're very fortunate to have a par 3. It kind of gives us the opportunity to let the kids go play and kind of depending on the age level or skill level, we kind of tailor it to that need. Like most of the summer I had small girls between like the ages of 8 and 9. They weren't really going to want to keep score, but they did get a scorecard and they were able to kind of see what a scorecard is, how to keep their stats and whatnot. While like Mike would probably have one of the older boys, they would keep track and play from certain yardages to see how well they were doing. And then a big thing for us was at the end of the day, all of us were responsible for posting on the website. So for Out 36, all of our juniors have a profile. So at the end of the day, I would say, you know, Lucy worked on X, Y, and Z today. Here's some pictures. This is what we're working on. So it really kept the parents involved, which was really awesome because they felt like they were, you know, you're getting something for your money. I see that my kid is learning something. It's not just, oh, we had fun today goofing off. And so basically what we learned this summer is that having the smaller group sizes is so important and really beneficial for us because we ended up having over 300 signups for that summer program, which was really awesome. And so we're very excited to like keep doing that, even if there isn't COVID this year or in future years.
Yeah, Peyton, like I said, guys, Peyton is actually in charge. She runs the whole program. She organizes it and she organizes 10 to 13 different instructors for, 4 sessions a day. Peyton, with so many kids and you kind of mentioned parent communication through Op 36 and the posting of videos and stuff like that. In a COVID year from last year, and it looks like it's going to be the same this year. What difficulties did you see with creating the groups of kids and kind of just parent communication in terms of, we had like a drop-off point, a pickup point, and just how did Op 36 kind of help you with that?
So basically how we do our Harry Cooper sign up is we've actually already sent it out for the summer because all the parents at Westchester have been like hounding everyone, wanting to know when are all of our junior programs, not only for us, but for tennis, squash, the beach club. So everything's already been sent out. And in our survey, we always ask like requests, because all of our parents normally will request like who they want their child to be with, whether it's an instructor or friends. So we utilize that. And then I'm very, I always send out emails on the preceding week, on like the Friday before the week starts, just to be with all the communications. And then we also send out different blasts throughout 36. So you can create a class. So I'll say like week 2 of Harry Cooper, all of our kids are in there. And then I'll send out a blast just with reminders, whether it's don't forget to do your lunch order, pickup is going to be here. So it makes it so much easier just because we are such a big operation where everything's kind of on one platform, and it just makes our lives so much simpler.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The Op 36 is great. Like Peyton was just telling you guys about it. They have lesson plans and videos, and it makes it really great for 10 people, 10 instructors to get on the same page for 4 different sessions of junior golf. Peyton, thank you so much. I mean, you do an awesome job. We'll definitely come back to you. I just want to get to our last panelist, last but not least, Mr. John Schmoll.
How are you, Mike?
What's
Thanks for having
going
me
on?
today. It's good to be on the panel with everybody.
Yeah, great. John is the first assistant at Burning Tree. John's been doing this for a long time. He's an expert at junior golf and instruction. And John, I really, we've kind of touched a lot of bases here with, the program at Westchester Country Club and James' program at Harbor Links and inner city junior golf community, and then an elite junior golf community. I would love for you to kind of touch base on what you do at Burning Tree. And I know your plan is to also touch on the PGA Junior League and the Met PGA. So I would love to hear what you have going on.
Sure. At Burning Tree, I run the junior program much like you would a golf program at a country club. We offer junior golf opening day. We got the Golfzilla from the Met PGA. Had 3 instructors. Tyler was there at the time. Amber Richardson and myself gave a free clinic. We had the Garb rep, Paul McManus came and did a trunk show. I think it was a great event. We offered a free clinic, had some pizzas at the end, and just got people in the mindset of junior golf. The parents loved it. They shopped while the kids were playing. We run a club championship, a member guest. We also do summer camps. I also tailor programs based on some of the national programs that are done. Drive, chip, and putt, for instance. We do a drive, chip, and putt 4-week session where each week we're focusing on one of the disciplines there, the drive, the chip, and the putt. At the end, we have our own championship. And that's really been a great program as well. And then last but not least, of course, PGA Junior League. PGA Junior League for us has been wonderful. We've had a lot of players. We've had 2 different teams. In 2019, we had a 13 and under team of 30 players, and had a 17U team of 6 players. Really enjoyed it. The kids loved it. When I first got to Burning Tree, they loved it so much that we actually introduced a fall league. I got together with Ryan Callista from Tamarack, and we did a fall league our own. And now the PGA of America does one themselves. So it's kind of neat. We were on the cutting edge there. 2020 with COVID, PGA Junior League, we didn't participate nationally, but we did an in-house league. Myself and my coworker Dan Powers, we had 26 kids. We split them up and did an in-house league. We did the red versus the blue, and that was really a lot of fun. And the kids are ready and willing, and certainly ready for this year's junior league. Hopefully we can get it off the ground and COVID subsides here. But as far as nationally, PGA Junior League, the player registration started yesterday. The deadlines for captains to get in there is February 19th. So if you're thinking about doing that at all, I would suggest, highly recommend getting in there and doing that. And then the leagues are going to be announced on February 26th. So it's a great program. I would suggest that and highly recommend for everybody to get involved with that. The kids get uniforms. We offer practices and 5 to 6 matches. So it's really a fun thing. And like I said, it carries all the way through the fall. So that's kind of what we do at Burning Tree. Kind of a little bit of everything. Like I said, I'm the junior golf guy. So I tailor-made everything that I do to junior golf and what we can do to make it fun along the way, like everybody else has said. So thanks for having me.
John, that's great. I do have a question about the Junior Golf League, and I know that this might be kind of an awkward question because we are all here to help the kids, and we want to make their experience at our facilities better. And as a teacher, you just love to see a kid improve his golf game, right? Let me ask you this though, the PGA Junior League, because if you were to make a suggestion to someone who is on the fence about starting that team, can they monetize that? You know, let's just be real. I mean, as an assistant golf pros here, we are also trying to find other streams of revenue, and junior golf is a huge one for all of us. How do you manage that?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's the secret and the secret sauce there. As many of you know, I mean, these programs kind of, they're like Tyler said before, they're low hanging fruit. So my drive, chip and putt program, for instance, I charge, a regular clinic fee. It's $40 a kid for each one of those weeks. So the program itself is a moneymaker. It's also a lot of fun for the kids and it's fun for us. The PGA Junior League is also, it is a moneymaker for us and the PGA of America. The PGA of America gets $75 a head for that. And I think part of those proceeds go to junior, or I'm sorry, diversity programs and things of that nature. But as far as our end goes, the club goes, it is a moneymaker, and it is something that is a nice revenue stream for you and for your other assistants and other professionals at your facility. So yeah, it's there and it's good. That's
great, John. Thanks a lot. Guys, I really loved your presentations. I think we're getting so much out of you guys. This has been great. I do have some questions I'm going to pose. I'm just going to kind of ask people to chime in here. James, I'd love to talk to you real quick. And also Tyler, I'd love your opinion on this. We kind of had a meeting yesterday to kind of talk about some things, and the mentality of kids through COVID and mentorship were two of the main things we kind of touched on yesterday. James, I would love for you to elaborate on that. And then Tyler, also with what you're doing, I mean, beyond being a golf instructor, what you have going out the bridge really seems like much more like you're a mentor to young kids who need it. So James, please let us know what you've kind of learned through last year and going forward, what you're going to implement in terms of the mentality of the kids that you have through COVID.
Yeah, it's like, I know that a lot of the kids were going through some difficult times because they can't go out and they can't see their friends or even their relatives. They can't even go to the playground and hang out a little bit. And so just maintaining contact with them, asking them how they're doing. It's like Tyler was saying earlier, every time one of the kids comes in for their lesson, right away I'm like, hey, how's it going? How are you? And, how's school? How are things going? How's everything at home? And a lot of times with the lessons, the parents aren't there. So they feel a little bit more freedom that they can say things. And what I try to get across to them is that even if they go like, oh, no, everything's good. Even if they don't say anything, they at least realize that someone really is caring and someone is asking them how things are going. And I know in our meeting yesterday, I pointed out, like, sometimes what happens is as we're going through the lesson, even though they said everything's okay, you could kind of see there's something on their mind. So I'll ask them again later on, again, hey, everything all right? And a lot of times that's when it comes out. They'll say something about they were hoping that they could go do this and it turns out they can't do it, or they didn't like a class because it's so boring because all they do is sit at home or something like that. So just keeping that up. And I know last year, one of the things that kind of, I didn't even think about it. It happened with one of my kids where they had sort of like a Zoom PTA meeting, and the teachers and the counselors were talking about the things that would be going on at home with your kids. And I was really struck by that. And then right away, I turned around and did the same thing. I contacted all of the parents and said, we're going to have a Zoom meeting. And all we did for an hour and a half, 2 hours is just talk about what their kids are going through and what they're experiencing. And I think what also helps the relationship with the parents is they know that I'm a parent. So they know that whatever they're experiencing, I'm probably going through it, and vice versa. So it was actually good for the parents to hear me talking as well. And because you could see a lot of nodding going, yeah, we didn't know if anybody else was going through this too. Thank God somebody is saying something. And so just maintaining that open relationship and talking to them about, hey, if your kids are if you're noticing they're snapping or they're not responding or they're not answering your questions or something, and just talking to them about that. And again, going back to the kids, it's letting them know that I really want them to let me know if something's going on. And for some of them, it was really interesting to hear what they were going through and what they were saying. So of course, letting them know that, it's okay for you to just pick up your phone and call me or text me. It's all right. You're not going to wake me up. You're not going to worry me you're not going to disturb me at all. And that alone also, just letting them know, really, it's okay. And it's, no, I don't mind. And I know one of the kids, they started texting me at like 11 p.m. And I said, what are you doing up? And, we've got a couple of ha 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 emoji, LOL emojis and stuff. But yeah, I think it's really important this time because they feel like they're not in control of anything sometimes. So letting them know that there's somebody there that they can talk to is so important for them.
Yeah, James, I definitely agree. Tyler, I would love for you to chime in on what we just talked about and kind of creating a mentorship between yourself and your junior students.
James hit on so many great points there, but in our case, most of our young men are in New York City. And if any of you have either, been in New York City or even wanted to live in New York City, you realize that everything is kind of downsized. So you can imagine some of the living conditions and some of the space that isn't really there for these people to be in all day long. So we were doing a Zoom, we're currently in a Zoom, right now here. And yeah, we have, space, and some of these young men and some of my golfers really didn't have a lot of space. So to imagine to be, cooped up in a New York City apartment for months on end, we were doing exercises. We were doing a lot of different things. And there were even days that we didn't do anything golf. We just sat around and talked. And I think character education, and I think every golf professional on this Zoom has had these teaching moments. You've all had that cart ride with the kid that you drop him off and you're like, I can't believe he just said all that. So you can't, and that's why golf and sport is great. I was lucky enough to play sports when I was, younger, not necessarily golf, but other sports. And yeah, I confided in my coach. And I think you have to be that soundboard. You have to be that person, because golf is like that other sport where you can just jump in a cart. And I know I've done it. If I'm going through something, I jump in a cart and I find myself on the furthest green away from the clubhouse, just chipping and putting. It has that kind of that the golf has that solitary feel to it at times, but yet you want to be sure that you're there for that junior golfer. And I think when it comes to mentoring a junior golfer, it just goes back to what I had said before. I think you have to be yourself, because if that kid thinks you're blowing smoke up his ass, he's out. He's checked out. And he's going to sniff that out. And then everything you do means nothing. And I think the more you can be yourself and actually, be sincere when you're talking and communicating, you're going to get so much more out of it. Like James said, those are great things. I mean, the parents opened up to you during that Zoom call, that you were there to have them, just be there for them to just voice their, all their stuff. Our situation at Bridge Golf Harlem is a little different because they're in the city. So even getting us to that Mashalou golf course, or even hitting balls in the fall at Dunwoody from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. That was an awesome outlet for those young men to come. And I just, I think we have to be aware of that, that, golf doesn't have to be this whole hum. I got to do this lesson before my tennis lesson, that only happened once, with me. If the kid came dragging his bag, by the next time he was coming to see me, he was running from tennis or running from the car to come see me. That's because, I wanted it to be fun for him. And certainly, and again, this goes back to being an assistant golf professional and trying to put some more bucks in your pocket. And John alluded to it, too, the monetizing our work. That junior golf thing that we did at Burning Tree, a free clinic, that was Amber, myself, and John literally giving about an hour and a half of our time. Now, granted, we got some pizza out of that too, Johnny. So I don't forget, I didn't forget about that. But I'm telling you right now, the amount of junior golf clothing that we sold that day, that I didn't lift a pencil to write one special order, not one. The rep was there, and there was 2 of these, 3 of these, give me these. And I'm telling you, you go back to your professional as an assistant, and again, you put it on your resume and you say, hey, this is what I did. I grew, because you can look at my resume. It says I took the club fitting business from this percentage to this percentage, or I grew the junior program from 17 kids to 35 kids, whatever it is, right? Because all you're trying to do is make yourself better. And I think the head golf professionals that are on this call, they're all going to tell you that's what they look at. That's the resume that they stop at. Because if you can show growth in something that hasn't been there at the club, and you can be the aficionado of junior golf, and I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn when it comes to a lot of things in life, all things, including golf, which is why I love being in these calls and I love hearing other things from other professionals. I just think it just goes back to there's passion involved. You got to want to be there, and you got to be that soundboard sometimes. And in these times, because the pandemic has been so subjectively or very case sensitive for each different person, right? Some people haven't traveled and they love to travel. They're freaking out right now. Some people love to work. They love to sit around the water cooler and talk to their coworkers. They don't have that. So there is a lot of voids in people's lives that I think you have to be very sensitive to, and then just be there. I really do. I think you just have to be there. As silly as that sounds, I think there's got to be some compassion.
Definitely.
And that's really, I'm good. I'm going to actually answer one of the questions, actually, if you don't mind.
No, I don't.
Herb was asking, do you have any scholarships for kids paid for the PGA through the junior league? Again, I would recommend, and again, guided missile here, but if you go to a place of business, maybe it's a restaurant you go to, maybe it's your barber shop. I know one of my best little league teams I was ever on, Gary's Northgate Roffler, best baseball team I was ever on. Go to a business and maybe ask them, right? Hey, I'm putting this junior league team together. Would you be interested in sponsoring it? I don't know about you, but you go to some of these smaller communities, whether it be on Long Island or Westchester, and you get the junior PGA shirt, and maybe you go get it silk screened, you go the extra mile, and you put something Ford Chevy on the front of it. And let me tell you, I got to tell you, that's moving the needle. And that goes the same for the Met PGA as a whole, right? Have them sponsor a day. Go to your golf chairman and say, hey, and this could be at a public facility or a private facility. Listen, hey, how about you sponsor 4 tee times, and I get a bunch of kids that have never touched a golf club to come and play golf. And this business, I guarantee you, again, junior golf guys, it's low hanging fruit. Everybody loves to see junior golfers. They love it. So I think you have to, don't be afraid, to go to your facility. Just make sure you're not going to the guy you're not going to the sous chef talking about this. You're going to the golf chairman, or you're going to your head professional, because you want to be sure that you're going through the right protocols. And other than that, I just think, yeah, you gotta want to be there for junior golf. You know, you have to.
Definitely. I mean, we've all experienced that, especially in terms of, making your boss happy and taking steps forward from the positions you're in now. When someone calls that guy and goes, "Hey, how's Tyler Lauer doing?" Man, that guy was an absolute superstar with the juniors this year. And it could be a guy, you want a new job, who struggled in the junior program, and all of a sudden you get yourself a new opportunity. So definitely. I have a really great question that was sent to me. James, I would love for you to touch on it. And then Peyton and Stephanie, I really would love for you guys to tell me your experience here. But let's talk about females and junior golf and how we can address that. It gets difficult to keep the teenagers involved. When the young girl gets to the teenage age, keeping them involved in the junior golf has become I don't want to call it a difficulty, but they obviously don't stick around as long as the males do. So how do you think we can address this? What do you think that we can do to keep the teenage girls engaged and coming back and continuing to play golf?
Should I go first?
Yeah, James, I would love for you to go first.
Yeah,
and then obviously Peyton and Stephanie as females, I would love to hear your experience and kind of how you ended up where you are now.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know. I just kind of like connect with the kids and just stay connected with their interests. I mean, I'm a big kid at heart. So as I'm getting to know them, I'm asking them, "Hey, what do you like? What are you interested in?" And if it's something that I never heard of, or I know a little bit about it, I kind of like get into it and see what it's all about, so that the next time they show up, I like, "Oh, you know what? That's pretty cool. I looked into that. That's really interesting. Can you tell me more?" So, I'm just developing that bond with them constantly. I mean, even like when we were going through the whole social distancing stuff, and I was doing everything through Zoom, what you see behind me, this is what they see, right? So for a lot of the kids, it didn't matter whether they were boys or girls. This shows up on their screen, and they're like, "Whoa, what's all that stuff in the background? You did that? You built all that?" I'll pull them down. I'll show it to them, and it doesn't matter if it was boys or girls. But if we're talking specifically about the girls, it'd be the same thing. It's like just talking to them and sharing interests with them. And I think sometimes that gets a little bit overlooked, is that maybe that they inherently feel there's a cutoff or something like that, and maybe that's something that Stephanie, Peyton, you ladies can talk about it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to go first, Peyton?
Sure, yeah, please, Stephanie.
I think it's really important when it comes to female golfers to lead by example. Obviously, I think it helps if you have a female professional to guide them in that direction. And then also, I think it's important to look from, we call it resistance, meaning pressure from the parents, pressure from your peers. Obviously, these kids live in a different generation now with social media too. And to kind of circle back to everything that we've talked about, the more fun you can make it, the better. We structure our practices with 80% block, and then that other 20% is random. And then to even go back to Tyler's point too, like personality is so important, and sometimes it's more important than competence. That's not to say I don't think we should know our stuff. Obviously, we need to know our stuff. It just speaks volumes to like the personality and what's actually going to show up every single day.
Yeah, Peyton, I would love to hear your experience too. I mean, Peyton actually has kind of a stronghold on the girls' junior golf right now at Westchester. She has about 6 of them at one time, 3 days a week. It's pretty wild to watch. But like, how did you end up where you are, where through your teenage years, you obviously stayed engaged and wanting to play golf, and maybe it was you had a friend that you did it with, so it was easier for you. But like, what are your feelings on kind of keeping the girls going?
I just think, like, for me personally, I had a little sister who was 3 years younger than me. And that's how I played all the time, is because that was like our thing to do. And what we've noticed, like with our girls, is it's never just private lessons with our girls, like one-on-one. It's always groups. Like all of our parents want, oh, it's Lucy and Brooke and Lydia and Maggie. Can we do groups with them, not by themselves? So like actually this year, our biggest goal, Jenny, another assistant at Westchester, our goal is to start like a girls golf association. So kind of like the ladies 9-holer association or ladies 18 association, like give them their own thing at Westchester, and where they have dues, they get swag bags, they get things. So it's something to be a part of at Westchester. And we want it to be something that's not necessarily like, you know, however many times we meet, we're just going to go do clinics. It's going to be more so like somewhere where they can hang out. Like maybe we'll do the first 30 minutes playing golf or doing games, but then the rest of the part, maybe we'll do a movie night. Maybe we'll do like, then our boss thought it'd be really cute to do like a little cocktail party where like all the girls get dressed up in cute little dresses and act like their moms and go to the club and have like a little party afterwards. So like that's kind of our goal this year, is because in Harry Cooper, we had over 30 girls participating. And then in the extra like private clinics we've done like during the fall, Jenny and I have probably worked with at least 20 or 30 extra. So it's definitely like 60 girls that want to play golf, that love being with their friends. And so that's kind of like our goal this year, is to start an association where girls can be together and have friends and want to come to the golf course and not necessarily just play golf, but be with their friends. Because I think that's how you get longevity with these girls, is they need friends to come play with and think it's fun to come, like, you know, oh, we're going to go see Peyton and Jenny today and we're going to do like X, Y, and Z. So that's kind of our goal this year, especially with the girls.
Yeah, Peyton, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, more than anything. And for whatever reason why it is, the social aspect of it needs to continue through the older age. And guys, I think what Peyton's doing, I mean, I kind of knew she was doing that, so I let her that way. But that's something that you can take back to your clubs, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Like Peyton just said, you know, she's got 60 girls last year that took golf lessons or signed up for clinics. So we know they're there. So what are we going to do at our facilities to get them in? Because they are also, again, on the selfish side of it, they're the same price as a male junior golfer. So we, you know, and on top of that, we just want more girls being comfortable playing golf, because they play at a younger age, and we seem to kind of lose teens. And I think, you know, Peyton and everyone that spoke here has something to offer in terms of keeping them engaged and keeping them coming back and creating a whole new, you know, generation of female golfers through COVID here. You know, just from my experience, you know, going to college, I think I remembered, and Stephanie and Peyton both played in college, I think like 57% of the girls' golf scholarships don't even get used in this country. And I'm not sure if that number is exactly correct right now. Stephanie may know the answer better than I do today. This was 10 years ago, but my God, there's access to free education and free college for a girl who can play a little bit of golf. So there's a lot to be gained there.
Yeah, I think Peyton's idea of that girls' night, I mean, we do something very similar here, and it just kind of like happened. You know, Peyton was very organized with hers. Ours was just like, hey, you know what? Why don't I get all of the girls coming on one day? Because like the kids, they come on different days for practices, and so they're all coming, but one specific day, putting it aside for the girls. And that was it. That one just took off. That one was a hit. And it was just like so much fun. And some of the boys would show up, and I'd say, yeah, you know, if you're going to be involved, that's fine. But tonight is ladies' night, so this is for them. And it was cool. Like one of the girls actually is coming all the way from Manhattan on a Thursday to be a part of it, and she's flying in from the city and participating. And you know, and to me, that's like what it's all about, like what Peyton was saying. So, you know, for other facilities, if that's something that you can do, I would wholeheartedly recommend that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was really great stuff there, guys.
I just got one thing.
Yeah, please.
Good.
What we do in Harlem, and again, you know, the ladies are definitely, we have a program, Bridge Golf Harlem is kind of, you know, just boys, but we have a relationship with golf. It's called Harlem Pride, and it's the only all girls golf team in Harlem. And we have them at the center. Coach Sweeney has done Michael Sweeney has done a great job forming and forging these relationships. We had professionals that had played golf in college, or maybe just played a sport in college, that they've used sport to get them somewhere in their career. So we had somebody from Golf Digest come, somebody from the finance world come. So I just think, golf is great. And I know Stephanie and Peyton, they had success in playing in college and then going on to that career. But I think, and to James's point, sometimes the social aspect, the culture that we're kind of forging right now for that junior golfer is very important, right? I'm pretty sure the kids that go to that member guest at Nick's Club of Old Oaks, they're going to remember that junior member guest, just like they're going to remember that member guest when they're 35 or 45, right? So we're trying to forge these cultures at clubs and really with our golfers. And I think it's so important to just have them understand that it's not, you don't have to be a college golfer. You don't even have to have a PDI rating. Those are great. And Stephanie has some amazing tools, and it was a great resource, and will continue to be a great resource. But I just think that there's this other kind of social community thing. And I think James touched on it. We have a lot of meetings sometimes where we don't necessarily speak about golf, and we let the kids just be kids. And then those relationships that we're talking about, then they go on to golf, right? So it's almost like we're creating these times, and then they're just kind of, golf becomes this thing, but we're kind of building more of it away from the game, and then they take it to the game. And I think that's very, very important.
I totally agree. John, did you have anything to add?
Just two things. One
Yeah.
of the things we've done at Burning Tree too is actually have girls only clinics, which has been pretty successful. Amber Richardson and myself have done just girls only, and the girls like it. Like Peyton said, they like to be in groups. They want to be together, and some girls want to be with the boys. So in that case, they're open season, and they can jump in the other clinics. But as far as teaching and I think being a parent is very helpful, like James alluded to before. I think about things that I've done with my kids and how much fun, they've had doing them. And I treat the juniors at Burning Tree like they're my own kids. It's just, and I think they sense that, they know I got their back. The parents, feel comfortable. And I think that's an important factor, if you are a parent to it kind of comes with the territory, and it leads right into teaching and junior golf and being a confidant, being somebody that you can hang out with and trust, and that you want to be with, and just to get away, like the other panelists have said. So just wanted to bring those 2 points up. Thanks.
I agree, John. I think from my personal experience, and I'm sure the personal experience of everyone on the panel and tons of people here watching, is that it's also kind of how you grow your business of junior golf. If you do actually care, okay, you take some interest in the junior golf program, or one kid or two kids, it spreads like wildfire. Parents talk every single day. Mom comes home, little Johnny's like, oh my God, I had so much fun at golf today. Can I please go back? Then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'd love for you to go back, but it's X amount an hour. But maybe if I call, Jim's mom, and the two of you go, and then before you know it, you got four little pods of kids taking one lesson a week. And this is how you grow your business as a junior golf instructor at your club or your facility. And like Tyler said a few times, it's really, if you just care and you show some interest and actually try, that's how it grows. James, I have a great question that was put out there. And I'd love to get into a little bit of the actual teaching and instruction of kids, and we'll all kind of touch, but where do you find the line between teaching and coaching and in the development of the kids? Like, do you lead them to feel things, or are you showing them exactly what to do? Kind of, what's the question literally said, like, what's your recipe there? And I would love for you to kind of touch on that.
Yeah, I think one of the things I try to do is, because a lot of us know this, kids are very visual in terms of how they're inputting things into their brain. So just maybe demonstrating a lot of the time, just, like, hey, watch me. And I like to inherently just let the kids feel like they're a part of the process. So I'll say, it's like, we're all standing in front of the student, like, because we're the teacher. So I'll say, hey, let me get in there. you stand there, you're my teacher. And just the fact that I'm saying that, you can even see the reactions in their face. Oh, like, wow, he's giving me the card. So I go in there and I'm swinging. You see what I'm doing? You see what I'm doing? All right, watch me, keep watching me. And then I just say, all right. And sometimes what I'll do is if we're focusing on something, I'll say like, so what did you see me do? And just having them tell me, or it could be, you teach me. What is it we're doing? We're chipping. Teach me how you chip, or teach me what you think we should be doing, and then let them verbalize it. And so, that's the equivalent of them taking notes. I know Herb was mentioning earlier about taking notes. And so then we flip it back around, and then I'll say, now tell yourself the same thing, rather than me constantly going like, do this, do this, do this, do this. So, I want them to have a serious put input into the lesson. So that's what I'm doing a lot of the times, is getting that feedback from them. But also what I like to do is kind of just watch them, see what their body language is like. If there's someone who normally is looking at me in the face, and then on this particular day, they might be constantly looking at the floors, then something's going on. They're not all there. And that's, like I said earlier, that's when I might be saying, hey, is everything okay? Was things okay at school today and whatnot? And just go from there. But in terms of teaching versus coaching, yeah, I mean, it could be going back and forth in a heartbeat, but it's what I want the kids to realize is that it's okay to make mistakes, because they're going to be learning from those mistakes. I mean, I think what happens too is like when they're coming to you after a day of having classes, everything is right answer, wrong answer, right answer, wrong answer. And so if I start asking a lot of questions, they're starting to think, what's the right answer? What am I supposed to say? What does the teacher want? And so one of the things I'm always constantly saying is I don't have a red pen in my hand. This is not your report card. This is not your test paper. I'm not putting red marks on it and saying, see me after class, or calling your parents up and saying little Bobby wasn't paying attention in school today. It's, let me know. And if the answer really is, oh, I don't know, or I forgot, that's okay. We can always go over it again, but don't worry. I'm not judging you or grading you based on what you're saying. And again, allowing them to realize that they can have feedback in the lesson. And so it's not just instruction, it's the coaching as well. They start to see that, like Tyler's talking about, that you care.
That's great. Yeah, I completely agree with you in terms of, learning new skills and getting better, gaining some understanding, and kind of tiptoeing that line. And just like you said, kind of feeling out which side of the line you need to be on is great. I'm going to pose this question to everyone on the panel here. And I think it's becoming a problem. How do you, everyone here, we'll start with James since you've been talking. How do we deal with parents and managing the expectation of parents, and the overbearing parent, the parent that may get a little too annoyed when our kid isn't hitting the ball well enough? Stephanie, you're going to have some input on this too, because manage the expectations. The reality is, no matter what, not everyone's going to get a D1 scholarship to play golf, and even less of those guys are going to turn pro, and even less of the guys that turn pro, it's worth to turn pro in terms of trying to play on tour. So kind of managing the expectations of our parents, how to deal with that. I mean, we've all seen it at our facility, the kid that he loves coming to the lesson, not because he loves to play golf, because he knows that we're not going to harp on him when he hits the bad shot. But dad all of a sudden takes him down to the right side of the range to work on what we just did for an hour, and he hits a bad shot, and it's like, well, he's on his case. So in an age where specialized sports is becoming the norm, which is part of the problem, in my opinion, even a kid who wants to play on the PGA Tour should be playing hockey and baseball and basketball and all these other things. How are we dealing with these parents moving forward? How are we managing these expectations, and how real are we actually going to be with them? James, I'd love for you to start.
Yeah, I think if you're waiting for that situation before you react, it's already too late, because then all that does is that's just going to lead to a confrontation. And even if you do say something about it and the parent goes, oh, I hear you, I got you, you know that 30 seconds later, when you see them at the end of the range, they're just going to be going back to their old ways. So I think it's important that you're setting the foundation right from the start, that kind of attitude is, for lack of a better way of explaining it, is unacceptable. That you have to let your kids grow. You have to let your kids make their mistakes and learn from it. And a lot of times when I'm talking to parents about it, I'll say to them, if this was another topic, another subject, if this was school, would you be doing the same thing? Or would you be doing this to yourself? And right across the board, they'd be like, no, I let them kind of figure it out, and said, well, why does this make golf so different from everything else that they're doing? And so establishing that in a sense, you're in charge, that you know what's going on is part of it. But remember, you're also educating the parents. And so it's not like you're banging their head over with a hammer about it, but you're telling them, listen, there are better ways for doing it, and talking to them about it and educating them. Maybe perhaps you're having parent meetings, or you have things already set up, like YouTube videos or whatever. You've put together videos explaining it, or you're collecting videos that other organizations have already put together, like Positive Coaching Alliance, that kind of stuff. And on occasion sending, hey, parents, and sending it to all of them, not just one. This is a great video for all of you to see. Check it out, because you might be doing the same thing for the juniors. We're like, hey, kids, here's a video on chipping, and we're going to go over this next week. Or we're going to be doing this game that's in this video. We're going to be doing that next week. Well, it's the same thing with the parents, where you're sending them this video about something, and next time you have a meeting or you're talking to them, it's the same thing. It's like, so what'd you get out of that video that I sent you? And when I'm doing that, you can see a lot of parents, they're willing to admit it. Yeah, I can't help it. It's like, I just feel like I want to help them. And I bring that up to the kids too. I'll say to them, you realize there's no one else in this world that loves you more than your mom and your dad. So understand that sometimes it's like when you're there in the middle of the fairway and you have to hit the shot and you're struggling, there's no one, the first person that wants to run out there and hold you and make you feel better is your parents. So understand that sometimes there's just this frustration of, they want to come out there. Your mom, your dad, they want to run out there. They want to hit that shot for you. They want to tell you, it's okay, Susan, don't worry about it, I got you, right? But they can't do that. And so as a parent myself, like I said, it's like standing there and watching your kids struggle. It's the most helpless feeling. So that it goes both ways. And I let the kids know about it, but I also let the parents know about it, that, hey, let the kid make his mistakes, let her make her mistakes. But talk about, hey, what do you think you could have done? What do you think you did well on that? What do you think you could have done better? And let them hit 7 balls in a row before you open your mouth and kind of figure it out. And tell them that, hey, did you have fun today? Not like, why'd you do that? Just stuff like that.
James, I think that's a great answer. And again, everyone on the panel, I think, should have a chance to answer. I'm going to go to Stephanie first. How do you deal with a parent who's setting their kid up to GPC and it's an elite program and they're trying to get better and they want to go to college? Do you allow parents into the facility when kids are training? How do you guys, this is a problem. I mean, you see it at the private clubs where John's taking a lesson and dad's standing literally 3 yards behind and chiming in. So how do you guys handle the parent-child relationship at GPC?
It's obviously difficult, right? And to answer your question, Mike, no, we do not let parents in the building, which I think is really great. And going back kind of to the presentation and the stuff I talked about, number one being desire out of our 5 elements of success. Like, are the kids there for themselves, or are they there for their parents? So we're pretty blunt, honestly. Like, we sit down with the parents and we talk to them like, okay, is this actually a program that is going to be good for your child to help develop them, and educate the parents. And going back to kind of like the resistance, like what pressures they're getting from the parents, the peers, like we really deep dive into all that stuff, into the mental component and the desire. And it's really important to kind of have that baseline when it comes to performance, to have a clear pathway to show parents like, hey, this is what your child's actually doing. Here's where they rank. This is what we're working on. This is what we're improving on. Because I think ultimately that's what they want to see, right? They want to see progress. So I think going back to like the player development index, like at least that kind of gives a baseline and a pathway, at least for us at GPC.
That's great. That's great. Peyton, I see you on my screen next. So for instance, some of the difficulties that we encounter at Westchester, especially with the program, the junior golf program that's so big, okay, is parents who think that their kids are not getting enough like one-on-one time or improving quickly enough. And as golf instructors and everyone here listening, we kind of understand that, you know, not every kid is athletic enough to really improve so quickly in a week. So how are you kind of dealing with the parents that are in the communication and the expectations? And it was easier this year with COVID because parents could drop their kids off and then they had to leave. They couldn't stick around because of the COVID protocol. So that actually was quite nice in this case. But Peyton, some of the experiences you've gone through, I've seen them firsthand. Like, how do you deal with them?
It's just like for us, I guess, it's just being like very honest, because it's like a fine line, because you're working for a membership and you're working for them. So I just think like what I've seen, like, because like personally, it's like watching Gary, our director of instruction, like, because I've never really had to encounter this thus far, because I've worked with like smaller kids, but like watching Gary and Paul, it's just being very honest and open about the goals for their child. And I think that's kind of like the key, is just kind of being honest, but, you know, finding that line where, you know, you are working at a club where it is a membership. So I'd say like for us, like you and me, we learn a lot from Paul and Gary and the guys that are teaching those like elite juniors.
Yeah, I think definitely manage the expectations. And I mean, I'm pretty brutally honest with parents that I encounter this problem with like, hey, listen, not every kid is going to be a PGA Tour player, but we're making strides here. And maybe if you just kind of let him listen to me, he'd improve a little bit faster. You weren't so hard on him, especially in a game that's so hard, as everyone knows, we all play it. Like, being your best once every 15 times you play is pretty much the reality. So for a 10-year-old who's just learning some motor skills, that reality is much harder. John, Tyler, I would love for you guys to chime in on your experience
Sure.
with this.
Yeah, just a couple things to add. I like what everybody said there. Discovery is a great thing. And failure is not such a bad thing either. Realizing that they're not the most important thing in the world. You know, and that people do fail. I'm fortunate enough to work in Greenwich, Connecticut, where, you know, money's not really a factor, and kids get what they want. So the fact that they can come to the golf course and they see how hard it is, and that they do fail, and it's a great lesson. It's a great life lesson. And like you said just a little while ago, Mike, you know, when they're, you know, 10 years old and they're not a world beater, the parents wonder what's going on. But you know, it's a game of a lifetime. It's something that they can do and enjoy for their entire life. And you've got to keep that perspective there with the parents and with the kids. You know, and I think information is a great thing. One of the things I thought about while some of the other people were talking was, you know, I send out weekly emails at Burning Tree. You know, so the parents know what's going on. They know what our clinic schedule is. They know what tournament is coming up this week, the junior series. The results from last week, upcoming events. And then I do a lot of, you know, one-on-one emails too with parents. There's a lot of parents that want to know what's going on with their kids. So I spend probably between an hour and 2 hours every day answering emails, which isn't such a bad thing, because you can kind of collect your thoughts and you can put things in perspective for them. And I think that's a big part of golf, perspective. We all want to be great. Not all of us are going to be New York State Open winners like Mike Ballo, but we're going to try hard and try to qualify next year and do as well as we can.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I also, you know, some of the tricks I use with parents that are a little bit overbearing, and coming from the background I'm coming from, I tell them, like, hey, listen, if you want me to collect the names of everyone who was the best player when we were 15, 16, and 17, most of them don't even play golf anymore. So like it's kind of explaining to them that it's a process. And I kind of wanted to touch on this. Maybe we can still touch it, like not letting your kid burn out. I think we're touching on it, doing other things, stuff like that. So it's just a continual growth pattern. And then on top of that, touching on what Peyton said, when you have these huge junior clinics and the parents come to you and say, hey, you know, my kid is not getting enough one-on-one time. I'd love for them to kind of to improve a little bit faster. Well, that's when you hit them with, well, if that's the case, I completely understand. Maybe take some private lessons where I can spend some one-on-one time with him and there's not 5 other kids in the group in a very structured, organized setting if you want him to kind of learn some skills a little bit faster. And then again, everyone listening, there's how you monetize, right? You take 2 kids from your junior clinic from week 1, a parent says that, you offer this as an answer to their concerns. And then before you know it, you got 2 kids taking 3 private lessons a month from you on top of them being in the junior clinic. So I think that's another great way to work it. Tyler, I'd love to hear your experience on the matter.
You know, due to the fact that I'm now at a private facility, I'm in the winter time, you know, kind of is my hot zone. I get a lot of juniors, a couple in specifically that have worked with PGA professionals during the summer at their club. And then they come to me in the winter time because their club doesn't have this, that, or the other. I think it's very important to be communication is key. If you look at every industry, I think posturing is a very, very big component that we could use as coaches and as instructors. If you, again, managing the expectations, yes, but posture the parents in such a way that there isn't that uncomfortable interaction. I tend to use kind of comedic relief in a way, just because I feel like that's kind of my comfort zone. You know, I also use, you know, going back to, you know, if you've ever seen anything that Michael Hebron has done, I mean, he is a legend, obviously. But if you ever really want to like really delve into some of the stuff he's putting online, it's really interesting. He kind of his angle as far as teaching and coaching and feel and real and everything else. One thing that I've done with even the little guys, we use JC Video as our motion analysis, and I'll have them draw. You know, we have touch screens, and I'll ask them, you know, just as James was saying, what do you see here? Well, I see the Y at address. What do you see on the backswing? Oh, I see the L, right? They're drawing on the screen, you know? And I think it's those types of things that you're empowering them to see it, to then recognize it. Oh, what do you see at the finish here? the dirty toe finish, you know, and all these things. So I think the more we can empower our junior golfers, and then at the same time, when dealing with those parents, I just, to be honest, I mean, not that I'm trying to be a smart ass, but you know, I just think you gotta set the line. There's got to be that line in the sand, and it could be uncomfortable. But to James's point, the sooner you do it, or the more you posture that parent, so it doesn't have to become a weird interaction, is the better. You know, the better. And I think just going back on the girls golf, I got involved with this thing, Girls to the Tee. It was WMGA, WGA, in some association. It was, they asked us, you know, golf professionals to come to Westchester for a day on a day off. And it was literally all these little girl golfers everywhere. And it was awesome. So again, if you want to get involved, it's those types of things. I think another thing that helps with junior golfers is social media. Now I'm dealing with 9th through 12th grade high school kids in Harlem. You can imagine some of the Snapchats that I'm seeing, right? And some of the Instagram accounts that I would say are a little faint of heart, to be honest with you. But what I do is I sometimes post the things about them just because I know deep down they love it. You know, and it doesn't matter if you're 15, 17, or 4. If you can say, I told the 4, like I got this little girl, she's 5 years old. I said, she walked in for a lesson the other day, and I said, did you make it here? She's like, of course I did, Tyler. And I said, did anybody stop you on the way over? She goes, Well, why? I said, well, they didn't ask you if you were the famous girl from Bridge Golf Harlem that got tweeted about her putting, playing putt-tac-toe. And she goes, no one stopped me on the street. So it's little things like that, and using those little components that we have. Again, going back to being an aficionado, they skyrocket. And John, I will say, when I worked with Schmoll, it was unbelievable how much he was sending emails to parents, and it's that communication that I think is key. So I like to send photos of either what I'm posting to the parents, or even if I have that overbearing parent, I will literally take a photo of what we're working on and say, here you go. Take that, Dad. There we are. Sure, she might not have her, her right heel totally in front of her toes there at impact, but right before impact, she's there. So back off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's things like that you have to do. Because again, if you're not doing it because you want to be there, go sell insurance.
Yeah, definitely, Ty. I agree with you. And in terms of communicating with parents, I would strongly suggest anyone here listening that is in the process of putting together their junior program for this coming summer, and they feel a little bit overwhelmed because you think you're gonna have a little bit too many kids or something like that. The Op 36 has been incredible, and that's what Peyton's using, and it literally gives them a portal to. We post videos, we have the lesson plans. I mean, it's like a consistent parent-teacher conference every single day. There's no questions. It's not like, what are you doing with the kids today? Is it worth it? Oh, it's worth it. This is what they're doing today. 15 minutes of this, 12 minutes of this, 27 minutes of this, and then we post pictures and videos all day. And it answers all the questions. It keeps them out of the way. And on top of that, it really helps you organize. I think it really will lower your stress level if you feel a little bit overwhelmed. I got a few more questions here. John, I'd love for you to chime in. We may not have an answer for this yet, but it was sent in the question area here. Are we anticipating that the PGA Junior League is going to be able to play some matches, or is this kind of going to be an in-house, with COVID? I know it's a very difficult question to answer right now, and we may not know, but please, anything you have on that?
Yeah, I mean, that question might be out of my hands, but as far as Burning Tree is considered, I mean, we're going to go full steam ahead. And I just actually filled in my captain form last night, and I'll send out the email shortly to get people to sign up, and we're going to go full steam ahead and see what happens. And if it comes to a point where we were like last year, we'll probably go in-house. And that in-house program worked out very well. The kids had a lot of fun, and that kind of will bridge the gap for next year. So yeah, love to do it. Hopefully we can. And I got my fingers crossed.
Thanks, John. That's great. I agree with you. I think right now the plan is to be able to move forward in a kind of a normalish capacity there. James, I got a question for you. You're kind of, when your name comes up a lot when we're talking about junior golf and kind of the gold standard of instruction in this section. So first off, I applaud you for that. And secondly, my question for you is, in your career, okay, and for people listening who strive to take their teaching and instruction career to newer heights based around junior golf, what things, certifications or experiences or things that you learned, like, how do you think, what's the best piece of advice you can give to that person who's trying to get to that level?
Yeah, I think in terms of certification, I made a joke about it the other day online. It's like I've been to like 35 gazillion certifications or something like that. So I think if you're specifically talking about junior golf, you have things like the US Kids Golf certification. That's very good. The TPI junior coach, that's very good. And there's several others that are excellent in terms of junior development. I think what you also want to do is you want to go and visit these people. Like you have Peyton here, you have Stephanie here, you have so many good people, and it's like give them a ring and ask them, hey, can I come by for an afternoon and watch what you're doing? And it's the same thing you can ask me as well. And I'm happy to have you come up. But yeah, definitely like look around, and it doesn't have to, anybody that you know that has that reputation, ask them if they can come and just see what it's like to be with juniors, how the junior programs are run, how do you give a junior lesson, and that's really going to be enlightening. I know that the people that have come and visited me, for instance, it's like I get the same comments from them. It's like I would have never thought about doing that. And I'm not talking about some fancy teaching thing. It's just something that I did. Maybe I got on my knees to speak to somebody, or drawing something in the sand in front of us or whatnot. Just, it's like, oh, I would have never thought of that. So, just seeing how we interact with the children is with the junior in front of you is probably going to be just as helpful as any kind of teaching certification could be.
Yeah, James, that's a great piece of advice. I mean, again, we pump it out there all the time, med section, the best section. And I think if honestly, if you just reach out to someone you think who is better than you, or you can learn something from, I think more times than not, you're going to find that they're pretty willing to talk to you and kind of share that knowledge. And I totally agree. I mean, on the instructional side, James, there was a question sent in about training motor skills with kids. Do you have any tricks? Do you have any go-tos or any advice there?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, kids are very visual, so I'll demonstrate it. I'm not going to be the best player in the world, but I'll demonstrate it, and the kids see that I'm very self-deprecating as well. It's like, what do you see me messing up? What do you see me doing wrong? And sometimes I'll swing or move incorrectly and ask them to correct it. So that gets them thinking about it. But in terms of the younger kids, what we'll do is we'll as part of the program, we have motor coordination skills. We do balance pads. We do kind of like the TPI Cyclone or versions of it, and having them work on their coordination. And sometimes going back to the previous subject, we get a little bit of blowback from parents or even the kids. It's like, what has this got to do with golf? And I'll show them, it's like, well, skipping is a motor, it's something very similar in terms of the motor pattern skills necessary for a golf swing. And if your child can't do this, right, what do you think is going to happen when they try to do something that's a little bit harder, like a golf swing? And then the parents every time go like, oh, I got you. I see. That makes sense. Thanks a lot. So they appreciate that. But yeah, stuff like that, and coordination, motor skills, and a lot of external cues. I very rarely will use internal cues. And what I'm talking about is, if you're telling someone to move their shoulders, move your hands, move your wrist this way, those are all internal cues. Now, someone like Mike, who's a very highly skilled player, that's fine. But if you're talking about the kids that are still developing, even the elite level juniors, it's that becomes very difficult, because when you give them internal cues, in order to establish that movement that you want them to do, they tense up in other areas of their body to accomplish that movement. So it's not a very fluid motion. But if I give them an external cue, like turn your shirt buttons this way, right? All of a sudden things seem to have more of a flow to it. So in terms of motor skill patterns, that's what I like to do a lot with the kids.
Yeah, that's a great point, James. I always thought I was going to make $1 million because I was gonna design buttons to go on golf shirts that were going to be characters, right? And they were going to be called posture pals, because if they have a 2-button shirt or a 3-button shirt, I would say, oh, that's snap, crackle, and pop. And snap, crackle, and pop, they got to see the golf ball. So if you're looking at me, I'm like snap, crackle, and pop. They're looking at me. They need to be looking at the golf ball. So I think, it was like, and again, it's that not telling them what to do, having them figure it out. I'll even take some masking tape and say, what's your favorite number? And then I'll just draw, they'll be like, I like number 7. And I'll take masking tape and I'll put a number 7 on their back. And I'll say, all right, show the number 7 to the screen. And then next thing you know, they got a full shoulder turn. And, so I just think, and again, I urge you, check out Michael Hebron. He's a legend. He's in our Hall of Fame in the Met PGA. Yeah, I'm sure he'll talk to you for as long as you want. He's got awesome junior golf, feel real, different ideas and things like that. But yeah, I'm with James there, big time. You can't necessarily tell them. They got to find that little path. I also use Frisbees.
Yep.
I use Frisbees a lot. I don't talk about, and this is not even junior golf. I mean, you know how many people can't flex their left wrist? You know what I mean? It's virtually impossible for most people. So you get them to throw a Frisbee and it's like eye-opening for them to get that sensation. Or I get a tennis racket, or I got a baseball bat, and I painted one side of the baseball bat different color. And on the video, they're showing the colors. You know what I mean? So there's all these different things we can do, because a lot of the kids, you know, you don't want them to just play golf, you know, to Mike's point, you know.
I think one of the best training aids you could have is this right here in their hand, because this is always in their hand or in their pocket. And so getting to what Tyler was just saying, it's like, if you're telling them extending a flexion with the wrist and everything like that, but if you say, you know what, show me a selfie. What's this? Show me your selfie. Do that. Show it to the sky. All of a sudden, that's there, and you're like, all right. And then they're taking their backs, and you're like, show the selfie. You know, screen to the sky, something like that. You know, and it's cool because then you see like a little smile on their face too, and it's kind of like, yeah, you know, you've got them now. So
That's awesome. Yeah, Peyton, I actually want you to chime in, because on the Op36 app, in terms of training motor skills, you know, we have a lot of younger kids, and let's be brutally honest, we have some kids that are not very athletic. So, Peyton, tell us about like the first 20, 30 minutes of every junior clinic that we run.
So the very first like 15 minutes, we're doing these like relay races and obstacle courses, and the kids literally like lose it. We like hit up the Dollar Tree. We buy like literally everything. We make baskets into hurdles. We do pool noodles, like where they weave in and out, like literally anything to like get the wiggles out. But also it's like they're learning how to be like athletes. And then it's really fun because then like all the instructors will jump in too, and we'll do different kinds of races. But like that is like literally their all favorite part, because like they run down to the short game and they see that we've got the relay race, like obstacle course set up, and they just like literally lose their minds. But it's so fun because like again, like you're working on them being an athlete first before you're like working on them being like a golfer.
Yeah, I would suggest, I mean, during the COVID lockdown last spring, the PGA, the Met PGA, American Developmental Model, and the Canadian Hockey League has been doing this for years, and it probably makes sense why the Canadians are so much better at hockey than the Americans. But training kids who want to be first to be like really good athletes, and being able to stand on one foot, and being able to balance, and being able to do jumping jack and all these things. So on Op36, they literally, at the beginning of every session, we do a 15-minute stretch out, warm up, and we obviously add the obstacle course to it because it needs to be some fun. But we got kids doing push-ups and sit-ups and bridges and standing on one foot and doing all these things that in turn will help your motor skills with kids who kind of lack that body mind relationship at a young age, or just in general, and training things that way. Guys, this has been an amazing panel. I would love for everyone on the panel to take a quick minute or two, give us a closing statement. We're up in time here in a few minutes. I really appreciate the time. Everyone watching, we really appreciate you chiming in. I think this has been absolutely fantastic. I'll just kind of go down the line here. Who I see, James, a closing remark, please.
yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for everyone to kind of like advance their own programs at their clubs, their facilities with junior golf. So I know for me, I mean, a lot of you see me posting stuff online, so please feel free to send me messages, ask if you can come and visit and check it out, and I'd be happy to have you here.
James, thank you. Peyton.
What I would just say is if anyone's interested in the Op36 stuff, we would definitely like recommend you at least like checking it out and seeing if it'll work for your program and your staff, because it definitely works for us. And then I know like this summer is going to be really important to see if we can all like retain these juniors that we got last summer due to COVID. And so like I said earlier, like for us, it was really doing those smaller groups so that even like you can combat like parents saying, oh, my kids aren't getting that one-on-one attention. Well, if it's one teacher to 4 kids, like, I mean, that's pretty good group sizes and they can learn a ton. So yeah, I think this summer is going to be very exciting and really looking forward to it.
Peyton, thank you. John.
It's been an honor to be part of this panel. It's a lot of great ideas, great stories, and great people on it. I would encourage people that are listening at home, if you want to reach out to any of us, MetPJ is all about sharing ideas and helping one another. So I would encourage all of you, if you feel like somebody had a great idea that you want to explore further, feel free to reach out to me or James or Steph or Peyton or Tyler or even Mike. I think there's a lot of great ideas, and it's really been a pleasure to be a part of this. Thank you.
John, thank you. Stephanie.
So I'm just going to snowball. Thank you guys for inviting me. If there's one thing you can at least take from my presentation is start with a baseline and measure your players. Every player doesn't have to apply to just the elite players. Where they are currently, create that pathway according to their goals. And then this will also help with the parent topic that we were talking about before. I just want to add one other thing, since we were talking about the younger kids. The more you can make it visual, I love the external cues, obviously. One thing we did at Weburn when I was there with our intern was we actually let our little kids become the course architect for a little bit on the short game area. So they love that with the pool noodles, towels, baskets, things like that. Just kind of snowballing off of the ideas from the panel of not always being golf. And it was just a putting lesson. So that was great too. But again, thank you guys. Reach out, like John said, to me. Any of the coaches really at the Golf Performance Center, we're here for a resource for you guys, because yes, we're an academy, but we're really a research facility.
Stephanie, thank you so much. Tyler.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Please feel free to reach out. I'm in New York City. You want to come and check out the facility, we'd love to see you, have you. And again, I think golf ideas are meant to be shared. And everybody on this call, there's an abundance of resources. And feel free to take advantage of that.
Tyler, thank you. Guys, everyone that chimed in, everyone watching, thank you so much for being a part of this. Caitlin Sabah behind the scenes is absolutely killing the whole logistics of this. MetPGA for hosting it. If you're going to take something from what we talked about today, guys, I think what you really learn from all of these different people is that use your imagination, think of something different. Try anything that comes to mind. There's really no right or wrong answer when you're dealing with kids, because it may end up in your mind being the biggest flop ever, but the kid loves it. You don't really know. So try new things, do different things, just care about your kids. And I think that you'll have really great success in your programs. Reach out to anyone involved, share some ideas. Everyone, thank you so much for being a part of this. I think this was great. And we'll see everyone next time.